Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today we're going to do my first ever set review, and I can't think of a better set to do it than the latest Commander set. I'm sure you've seen the unboxing videos by now. This is my Commander 18 binder. Let's move these boxes out of the way. And what I do is, of course, for every set, I go through and I number each pocket so that I can quickly get the cards in the right order. So, I'm going to tell you what I think about Commander 2018. So we will start, just like we always do here, with card by card. We have Boreas Charger. Now, we don't get a lot of Pegasus anymore. 3 mana, 2/1 flyer. When it leaves the battlefield, choose an opponent who controls more lands than you. Search your library for a number of planes equal to the difference. Reveal, put one in the battlefield, the rest into your hand. So this is a tithe on a dude, or tithe-ish kind of creature. It does have a 2/1 flying body for your extra 2 mana. So I think this is good. I don't know if I'll be putting it in a deck per se. Still waiting on that legendary Pegasus. Card number 2, we have Imperial Storm. Now, this is the first of the Commander Storm. When you cast it, you copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. So, if you've just got your general on the board and you've only cast it once, and you cast this, you're going to get 2 angels. So, 6 mana, 2 4/4 flyers. While not bad, we want, because, you know, this is what we do, we want to abuse this as much as possible. And there are cards later on that let you kind of circumvent the commander tax, because that's the only downside to recasting your general over and over again, is it gets more expensive each time. We have Heavenly Blademaster. So awesome, it's fuzzing. Come on now, autofocus. Heavenly Blademaster is a 6 mana 3/6 angel. Flying double strike. Now, double strike is pretty nice, so she's effectively kind of a 6/6. But when she enters the battlefield, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to it. So she's not quite a Bruna, but probably as good as a non-legendary can be. Other creatures you control get 1/1 for each aura and equipment attached to her. Wow, this is really strong. You can tell that they made this for the enchantment deck, and any deck that likes enchantment and or equipment. Now, in like a white equipment style deck, I don't know, you kind of want to keep everything on Kimba or whatever, but in a white equipment style deck where you can produce a ton of tokens, she could make them all ridiculously large. So I actually can't wait to use her. I don't know that I have a shell right now that is going to use her, but she's pretty good. One caveat right now, I haven't been feeling too well for the past couple days, so I may have to stop, sip on some water a little bit. Loyal Unicorn is the first of the Lieutenant cycle. It's an uncommon cycle now, although you can say what you want about the rarities in the Commander products, because you get one of these in a $40 item. So they can call it uncommon if they want to. It's like the very first time we ever saw the command tower, it was labeled as common, but it was $3 or $4 because there wasn't a whole lot out there. So this is a 4 mana 3/4 vigilance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control your commander, you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to creatures you control this turn. And other creatures you control gain vigilance. Wow. So your dudes can't die in combat? Obviously, you don't want this guy to swing. This unicorn. Here again, tribal unicorns. Wizards make this happen. You don't know how many people would love it. Magus of the Busted, or of the Balance. Now, they do these Maguses, and it seems like every year with Commanders we get one or two more, and this is our Magus that impersonates an old card. Now, they started this in Time Spiral block, and they did some in Time Spiral and Planar Chaos and Future Sight, and they've done some ever since in the Commander products that replicates an old card. Now, even at 2 to cast and 5 to use, this is still busted wide open. Because, yes, it sets everything at a balance, quote unquote, but you're going to do it when it is most beneficial to you. Like, if you don't have any creatures, let me read each place using the lands. If you sacrifice, yeah. Oh, so this just does lands and then creatures. Okay, balance. The original balance did lands, creatures, and cards in hand. So this does not make you discard. But still, what the old balance combo, for those that didn't play back then, was we played balance forever just as a pretty much a board wipe, and then we got Serum Orb and Ice Age, and we just floated the mana, sacked all the land of the orb, balance, and we had a fatty creature out there, so, you know, this is what we got. A Minotaur's Augury. Now, for 8 mana, gosh dang it, the glare. Let me see if I can't get up on, eliminate some of that. 8 mana sorcery. You better win us the game, right? Exile the top card of your library. You put a land from among them into the battlefield. Okay, so you get a land. Until end of turn, for each non-land card type, you may cast a card of that type from the exiled cards. So you get a card of every type. They just had to spell out land differently because you don't cast it. So in a pretty diverse built deck, you can get an enchantment, an instant, a sorcery, a creature, a planeswalker, artifact, and I guess a tribal, since that is an actual card type. So 8 mana seems a bunch. Can't think of a home for this right off the top of my head. We have our blue storm card. Blue Commander Storm. When you cast it, copy it for each time, of course. Create a token that's a copy of a target artifact. Now, this seems really strong. It's a 5 mana copy artifact. If you just hard cast it like that. Copy artifact was originally 2 mana, and that was kind of, you know, a little undercosted. But it's a token that's a copy, so it's not the actual card. It doesn't become it. Now, how much do you got to do to get value out of that? I guess it's depending on the artifact that you are copying. I mean, some artifacts just aren't worth copying. If you have a Darksteel Forge, you have a Darksteel Forge. 2's not any better than 1. But if you have something like a Blightsteel Colossus, that's pretty amazing. 1 would get you your value out of it then, wouldn't it? We have the Ever-Watching Threshold. 3 mana enchantment. Opponent attacks you and or a planeswalker you control. 4 more creatures draw a card. Pretty straightforward. I do like the fact that they are differentiating attacks you and or planeswalker, because as I recall, the wordings on propaganda and ghostly prison, things like that, don't work like we want them to with walkers. Here's our blue lieutenant. It's a 2/2 flyer for 3. If you control your command, you can draw a card during your upkeep. Oh no, I'm sorry. Beginning of combat. Beginning of combat. I wonder if all the lieutenants trigger. I guess we'll find out, won't we? He's a fine Drake, I guess. Looks an awful lot like a sliver. Just saying. In keeping with the Theros Umbras of animals, sure, Octopus Ambra, because, you know, 8/8, why not? And you can tap Target creature with power 8 or less. I was wondering how they would do the tap thing, because you don't want to tap 8 things like the legendary Octopi or Kraken or whatever. Can't think of what he was. But it's pretty good. Pretty good. You tap. I mean, you get a big beater, you tap down what you don't want to block with, and it's got totem armor. I like totem armor. Love that they brought it back. It needs some more time in the sun. Primordial Mist. 5 mana for an enchantment. Whoa. At the beginning of your end step, you may manifest top card of your library. Exile a face down permanent you control. Face up. You may play that card this turn. So you're going to manifest it so it's a 2/2 morph, dude, essentially. Oh, it's not morph because it doesn't use that ability, but it's a 2/2 dude. And then you can exile it face up to play it this turn. Is this... This seems like roundabout card draw. Now, I personally have never played with the manifest mechanic. I played it in that pre-release. I played in that standard environment, but I refuse to use the manifest mechanic because I just don't like it. It's just me, though. There's some things I just don't like. I didn't like Curse Scroll, and I don't like manifest. We have the Dolphin Humiliator. Dolphin Humiliator has Metalcraft. 4 mana, 3/4. That's not bad. Metalcraft, if you control 3 more artifacts, creatures your opponents control lose all abilities that have base power and toughness 1/1. That's when it attacks, though, so it's not... It's creatures your opponents, so all your opponents, they all become just 1/1 vanillas. Wow, this guy's really good. Yeah, blue's not that hard to get Metalcraft in. I mean, you're probably going to have Metalcraft by the time you cast this 4-mana spell. Wow, this is... I really like this. How did I miss this on the spoilers? I'd kind of glanced at the spoilers a little bit. A lot of these cards are kind of, you know, my first time sitting down actually reading them and thinking about them. But base power, wow. Let's look at Blood Tracker. 2/2 Vamp Wizard. I like the dual creature type there. Well, a lot of creatures have dual types, but this has 2 relevant ones. Wizards are a thing and vampires are a thing. So 4 mana 2/2 flying with 2 relevant decks. This can, well, actually a bunch of decks this can go in. But you pay 2 life, get a counter on it. When it leaves the battlefield, you draw a card for each counter on it. Now, there's not a whole lot of black in the +1/+1 counter game, but there's a little bit, and some of it's pretty decent. Pair this with green. I mean, you're not exactly doing trouble at that point, but this guy can get ridiculous. Of course, you know, doubling season does make everything better. But even something random like Thrive or anything puts counters. We have Entreat the Dead. Nope. Doesn't do what you think it does. It does finish out the cycle from Avacyn Restored that they had 4 rare miracles. And actually, they had rares and uncommons. But they had 4 rare miracles, but they did not have a black one because black was the enemy in that set. So there's no point in a black miracle. Until now, we get things in Commander that, you know, everybody else don't get, and that's cool. XX triple black is a heck of a cost. And it seems like you just have to miracle this in order to get any kind of value at all. Now, obviously, Sensei's Divine Top and Scroll Rack are amazing and perfect at setting up all the miracles. But they included with this deck a lot of things to also help that they, you know, were willing to reprint. You can't just put those big ticket cards in a pre-con because they got to use those to sell packs. I get it. Their business. There's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like that you got to miracle this, because if you don't miracle it, if you're getting, let's say X equals 1, if you're just hard casting this, you're spending 5 to get 1 dude back. I've paid that before, but not for a rare. And it seems like if you do it for 1, you just feel like you're, on the losing end. That feels like an awful lot like desperation to me. Now we have the Black Lieutenant. At the beginning of combat on your turn, they all do trigger at the beginning of combat. Control your commander. Each opponent loses 3 life. I play in a lot of big games. Typically, we'll have 5, 6, 7 players. I realize 4 is the norm, but I'll be honest with you. I have never sat down with 3 people and somebody else come up and be like, "Hey, can I just?" Well, of course you can jump in. Come on, it's multiplayer. The more, the merrier. I'm gonna let him, And low subordinate, it's 3/1 zombie, so it does have its purposes for tribal. Knight Incarnate. And that sounds just mean, doesn't it? 5 mana, 3/4 Death Touch. That's pretty sweet. When it leaves the battlefield, all creatures get -3/3. And it has Evoke. Now this is nice. Is this one of the Evoke cards that I'm probably never going to evoke? Because I like having that 3/4 Death Touch body out there. That seems fine for 5 mana. I mean, typically Death Touch carries a little bit of a CMC tax, if you know what I'm saying. You pay more for Death Touch creatures, but if they do kill him, he takes a bunch of stuff with him. Skull Storm. Okay. 9 mana. What the? Whenever you cast a spell, copy it for each. Okay. Each opponent sacrifices a creature. Each opponent who can't loses half of their life rounded up. So you play this after a board wipe. So they don't have any creatures. Or the only creatures they have are the indestructible ones that they... whatever. So I don't know. I'm sure there will be a deck somewhere along the lines, probably a year from now when I put this in a deck, finally, y'all will be like, see, there, Canada, I told you would. But I don't see me putting this in a deck. I really don't, for 9 mana. Now, granted, by the time you get the 9 mana to cast this Joker, in the right commander deck where maybe you've sacked Sidisi a whole bunch of times to herself, I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing. Although, to get copies of it, for everybody to do it like 3 times, it would have to be 3 times because they will go from 40 to 20, that's once, 20 to 10, that's twice, and 10 to 5. Wow. But they can't have creatures. That's the idea. They cannot have creatures. Okay. Sower of Discord. Yeah, wouldn't be a set without a 6/6 demon. Flying for 6. Oh, it's not. You choose 2 players. Whenever damage is dealt to one of the chosen players, other chosen player also loses that much life. Okay. I lose, you lose, just like that. So it doesn't even have to be me. So I pick Jimmy and Danny, and when I play this, and then I just start swinging at one of them, and the other one also. It's kind of the omnivore kind of ability, which is kind of neat. I mean, you're making 2 enemies instead of 1, but that's kind of what Black's all about. Moving into red. 6 mana, 6/5 flying haste. Hey, Efreet. Yeah. Is there a legendary Efreet? I don't know. That would be a cool deck. It'd be like red and blue. It'd be terrible. Anyway, I'd probably build it. Secretly choose an opponent. Ooh, that's cool. Reveal the player you chose as a activation. That's cool. Choose new targets for target spell or ability if it's controlled by the chosen player, and if it targets you or something you control. You can do it only once. Now, obviously, you're going to play this in blue, so you can blink this Joker after you do the thing, so you can do the thing again. Huh. Secretly choose an opponent. So there's a good chance you're choosing either the black mage or the blue mage. Yeah, pretty much. Because nothing is worse than... No. I think I'll draw those cards. I think that's what you meant to say. Enchanter's Bane. Now, this card got a lot of press. I do recall seeing it. And it's living the dream is you draw this and you look across the field and somebody's got omniscience and you're like, yeah. But you know what? Odds are if they've got omniscience, you probably lost anyway. And if you can't answer their omniscience, they're probably willing to pay that 10 life. I would. If I had 10 to pay for an omniscience, I'd pay it. I'd pay all the way down to 1 and try to find a way to pay that without dying. But anyway, I don't think it is reliable enchantment destruction. I think it's reliable damage. Enchantment's one of those things that a lot of people play. We all play them because, they're kind of hard to get rid of. Beginning of your instep target, I mean, the enchantment itself deals the damage, so you don't have to worry about, weird targeting shenanigans. So, they take the damage or they sack it. I like it. You're going to get, an occasional enchantment out of it, sure. I like that you get to pick the enchantment in case there's multiple enchantments out there. We have a red Fury Storm. 4 mana Commander Storm. Copy instant sorcery. You can choose new targets for the copy. This may... I don't know. Now, obviously, my first thought with this, I still haven't finished building the Kenrith twins. The Wonder Twins, as I call them. So, they are both your commander. So if I cast Will, and then I cast Rowan, I've casted my commander twice, right? Sure seems like I have. I don't know. That's kind of fuzzy. Maybe, I don't know. But if it does work like that, then this gets really good. And I'll probably put in that deck. Loyal Apprentice. We have the red Lieutenant. 2/1 haste for 2. You get a Thopter. You get a hasty Thopter. Okay. You get a hasty Thopter if you have your commander. I guess that's fine. It's definitely what you want in like Dready or your red or red-blue artifact decks. Free Thopters. This guy's a 2 mana 2/1 anyway, and if you just kind of keep him around, he probably pay for himself in just Thopter bodies. Here's our big dragon for the set, it looks like. Now, this is one heck of a landfall ability. 5 mana 5/4 dragon. Whenever the land enters the battlefield, you get the dragon egg token. And then when the token dies, you get the 2/2 red token, which is pretty neat. I love the story that plays, and it does. I think that's one heck of a landfall ability. Because landfall, you get a blocker, which is still better than a 0/1 plant, and it's kind of a blocker they might not want to die, because it's a 2/2 flyer with fire breathing. And there's no cap on that fire breathing, so that's kind of neat. We have Reality Scramble. Boy, that sounds like something that goes in a Chaos deck, doesn't it? 4-mana sorcery. Put target permanent you own on the bottom of your library. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card that shares a card type with that permanent. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order retrace. Retrace is the sweet part because you get to cast it over and over again. So I guess living the dream here in Magical Christmas Land would be I'm going to get rid of the Thopter to get my Blightsteel or something along those lines. Or permanent. Yeah, you pretty much get rid of one to get another. So, but it's random because that's how red works. Saheeli's Directive. I already like it because I love Saheeli. X and 3. Improvise. So your artifact, you can tap artifacts. So all those Thopters that you got. Reveal the top X cards of your library. You may put any number of artifacts with converted mana cost X or less. This is Genesis Wave for artifacts. Genesis Wave for artifacts. That's exactly it. And in the right deck, you're going to hit a ton of stuff. Technically, you don't lose anything. Hold on. I think you do. You may put any number of artifact cards with converted mana cost. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, so it's not better. It's exactly like Gen Wave. So it's Gen Wave for artifacts. So there's a good chance, obviously, if you want to put this in a deck, that you're going to have a very high concentration of artifacts and just flood the board with. Now, I can always see X equaling 9 or 12. That's just at least those and not any less. You can tell if they do it for 9 that they're not playing with Blightsteel or Darksteel. Treasure Nabber has gotten a lot of stuff for his flavor text. The law of gives these backsies. Now, I kind of like this. He borrows people's soul rings, and I love the fact that he's holding a damn soul ring. That's beautiful. And he takes their soul rings and power stones and whatever. But I'm pretty sure that how we're going to abuse this guy is we're just going to sack him to KCI or something else. Thanks for your stuff. I'm going to sack it for no real ability. And go. We still cool? No? Okay. Get to our first legendary creature. Our Varchild, the Betrayer of Keljor. Now, I love this card. Y'all saw what this did to the Varchild's War Riders back in Alliances. That card has been chaff ever since it was printed. I have been trying for years to find a way. It's just so bad because it has a cumulative upkeep of putting one of these survivor tokens into play. And so, but it's a 2-mana 3/4, so you kind of want to play it. It's an amazing curve. But you don't, because they're going to vastly quickly overtake you with their survivors. Varchild fixes all that. Y'all go check the price of Varchild's War Riders now. It's yes, I believe it is on the magical list, but Varchild, 3-mana 3/3 is nothing to sneeze at anyway, and her 3 abilities are sick. So when she deals combat damage to a player, they get that many survivor tokens. Now, whoa. Kind of makes you just want to beef her up. Here, hold this Loxodon Warhammer, Varchild. Go get it. Survivors can't attack or can't block, and they can't attack you or one of your walkers. Well, okay, but they can totally go at each other. When Varchild leaves the battlefield, you get all survivors. It's like 3 different versions of win here. All right, so I have looked all over my local community for a coat of arms because I've got her deck almost built. And it's not exactly Voltron, but it ain't exactly not. And she is, I just want to beef her up and then play a coat of arms so that everybody has these huge survivor creatures and they can't attack me. So I mean, if everybody's sitting around with 3 or 4 or 5 5s or 6 6s or 10 10s, whatever, they're going to be swinging them at somebody. And that's a whole lot of damage that your opponents are doing for you. I love me some Varchild. We have Crash of Rhino Beetles, which is a play off of an old card, Crash of Rhinos. 5 mana, 5/5 trample. But you know what? Most of the time in green, this Joker's going to be a 15/15 trample. Seems kind of worth it for 5 mana, doesn't it? Because you're obviously playing this in your turbo ramp. You know, I'm going to Eve-Edge and all that stuff. Let's look at our green storm card. 6 mana. Reveal cards from the top of your library to reveal a non-land permanent. You can just put it on the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom. So 6 mana is going to get you 1 card. It's super random, so you're not guaranteed to get 6 mana worth off the card unless you're top deck manipulating. But the more you can storm this, obviously the better for all of them, actually. But I don't know. I do kind of like this. I will probably end up playing with this one simply because a lot of those green creatures, it's easier to play your commander over and over again. Followed by our green lieutenant, 4/4 trample for 5. And at the beginning of combat, if you got your general, put a counter on your team. Well, that's really good. That's really good. Because it doesn't say each other, so he gets the counter too. That's awesome. And he doesn't have to, I mean, if you have your general in play and you just pay him, it automatically triggers on that combat, even though he's sick. I mean, you're not. I like it. I like that a lot. What we got? Myth Unbound. 3 mana enchantment. Your commander costs 1 generic less to cast for each time it's being cast from the command zone. So this what? It pays for half your commander tax? And you get to, draw some cards out of it. So that's, let's see. Your commander costs 1 less for each time to cast. So I cast it once, everything's normal. I cast it twice, I have to pay 2 more, but now it's 1 less, so I'm only playing 1 more. Yeah, so it pays half your commander tax. So this is the enchantment we want to copy. Oh my gosh, we want to copy and copy and copy this. We want to turn this into a creature and write a replicate kick it. Because especially if we have like a commander that has a high generic cost, like if it's like 4 and a specific, of some kind, 4 and 5 and a green or something like that. Jugin's what, 4 and 2? 5 and 1? I don't know. Anyway, Myth Unbound, I like it. It's probably going to go into a lot of the same decks that, of course, the Genesis Storm is going to go into. Let's look at Nylea's Colossus. 7 mana, 6/6. Or another enchantment enters the battlefield. Double target creature's power and toughness till end of turn. Huh. Wow. This is really good in the enchantment deck. Now, there are 3 enchantment generals in that deck that you get, and they're all 3 pretty decent. I'm going to do my best to try to build them all 3 differently. I don't know if I can, but I'm going to try to go in different directions with them. And I feel like this is definitely going to be in at least one of them. About Ravenous Slime. 3 mana, 1/1. Can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it and put a number of 1/1 counters equal to that creature's power on it. This is bananas. would die. Oh my gosh. This is my favorite green-black card ever. Even though it's not black, it's going to be in black because that's where all your murders and doomblades and all kinds of kill stuff is. And this is just going to get ridiculous. Wow. Furthermore, ooze. I really like that one. Turn Timber Sower. Hey, we got ourselves an Elf Druid. 3 mana, 3/3. One or more lands are put into your graveyard from anywhere. Get a token, so it's opposite fall. Land Death Fall? I don't know what to call that. I'm sure somebody cleverer than I will come up with something. A shortcut word. Green, sacrifice 3 creatures. So obviously probably your plants you got. Return target land from your graveyard to your hand. So you can totally go and get back your land that fetches 2 lands or whatever. Seems good. Obviously in the, a lands matter type deck. Whipton Hydra. 6 mana 4/4? Reach? It was a Lizard Hydra. Aren't they all? When Whiptongue Hydra enters the battlefield, destroy all creatures with flying. Hey! A lot of people play Angels, Demons, and Dragons. Those are really popular, I hear. Put a 1/1 counter on this for each creature destroyed this way. Okay. I'm fine with the 6 mana 4/4 reach body now. Yeah. Because you're not going to play this until it matters. Now we get into our first walker. Aminatu, the Fate Shifter. Now, besides the incredibly creepy art here, I really love the card. 3 mana, 3 loyalty walker. Her +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. So she's going to set up your miracles. She's going to set up your really cool. Even if you've got, what was that mechanic from Lorwyn? Kinship. If Kinship is your jam, this will set it up. -1, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. That happens now, not at end of turn or combat or whatever. So you pretty much blink something. You can blink another walker to reset loyalty or a creature for an ETB effect, i.e. Muldrifter, Shriek Maw, Cloud Chaser Eagle. I don't know. Those are the first things that come to my mind. And then -6, you choose left or right. Each player gains control. That's the weirdest thing ever. All non-land permanents. So you keep your lands. But everything else shifts. So obviously you're going to play this with, except her. She stays with you. So you're going to play this when all you've got's her. And you're just going to make somebody have 0 permanents. Because you're going to give them nothing, and then whoever around the other side is giving you. I guess you just got to keep watching the people to your left and right to see what you want to do. She's really good. I'll probably do put out a few miracle cards. I don't know. I may lean on the kinship thing. I don't know if any of the kinship was strong enough to actually be a theme for me or not. But I think that last ability is just... I don't know that your opponents are going to let that happen. I think she's just going to get beat down before that happens. And I really don't know that it's something you can dependably want to do. Then we have a Rakes, Slumbering Isle. It's a land with a casting cost. Or it's a 4 mana 12/12. Whichever you want it to be. Slumbering Isle enters the battlefield tapped with 5 slumber counters on it. Hint, do not play Doubling Season before this. You don't want 10 slumber counters on it. As long as it has a slumber counter on it, it's a land. And when you cast a spell, you can remove a slumber counter. And, of course, it being a land, it taps to add Simic. So, there's several things here. You've got probably the green-blue flurry of spells deck. That's how I think a lot of people are going to interact with it. Now, there's this land called Thespian Stage that's been breaking things for a while. So if you've got a Rixmathes in play, and you play the Thespian Stage, and you make the Thespian Stage a copy of a Rixmathes, as soon as that happens, the legend rule kicks in. You got to pick one to die. You're obviously going to pick the original to die, go back to the command zone. So your Thespian Stage is now an Rixmathes with no counters on it, because when it came into play, it was a land. It was not a Kraken. So you've got yourself a 12/12 for a land drop and whatever mana it takes to activate Thespian Stage. It's one thing we can do with it. Now, I've been looking for a deck. Now, Power Conduit is a card that's grown in popularity since Dominaria introduced us to the, what are those enchantments that use chapters? Sagas. Since they introduced Sagas to us, because the Power Conduit, you can manipulate. I mean, you can't add, but you can stay in one spot on that saga over and over again if you just want that effect every turn. And here again, there are a lot of cards to just wipe all counters. Now, blue and green, I'm not exactly certain that they're strong with them, but either way, this guy is pretty interesting. Brutaclad, Telcor Engineer, uses up every space on the type line. I love it. 6 mana 4/4. Your tokens have haste. Nice. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you create a 2/1 blue mirror token. Then you may choose a token you control. If you do, each other token becomes a copy of that token. Hey guys, y'all remember that 10 mana Eldrazi that came into play with a 10/10 token? Yeah, I think that's the token I want to be copying. And I think Servothopter Mirror Token Madness with that singular Eldrazi. Because I just want that token, so all my tokens can be that token, and roar. Yeah. Esther the Mast. Now, she's the one, right? She's the one. +2, untap each enchanted permanent. That's busted. We're going to go infinite because her second ability, immediately when I play it, I am going to -1 to create a mask aura attached to my The Chain Veil. And hey, it actually gives the Chain Veil totem armor. So then I'm going to tap the Chain Veil to be able to use Walker abilities again. And I'm going to +2 her to untap each enchanted permanent. Each enchanted permanent. I missed that the first go around. Each enchanted permanent. So I'm untapping my Chain Veil again, and I'm untapping, all those lands that have Fertile Growth or Overgrowth or Utopia Sprawl, or I think I have 13 or 14 land enchantments, not to mention, you got to search for these pieces together, obviously. Her plus the Chain Veil equals Dom. So, yeah, there's easily infinite mana, infinite activations. So, what we're going to do with it after that, you have to wait till the deck to see. But because that, okay, to be honest with you, I hadn't figured out exactly what I'm going to do with all this junk. But anyway, maybe I'll just filter through Ant Queen and no. Who am I kidding? But, okay, so her -7. Put the top 7 cards into your graveyard to return all non-aura enchantments to the battlefield, then do the same for auras. That's cool, because auras do need to come last because they have to have something to put in. So it's more or less a -7, -7 replenish, which is fine. She is the ultimate aura commander. I mean, that's what I'm using her for. She is straight up auras all the way. We have Gyrus. Hold on while I take a drink. The Walker of Corpses. Now, X and 3, or X and Jund, rather, enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. So you can make X equals 0 and just spend Jund, and it comes in as a 3/3. So that's fine. Whenever it attacks, you may exile target creature with lesser power from your yard. If you do, create a token that's a copy of it that's tapped and attacking just that turn. You exile it. So I feel like X equals 0, there's something there. But there's also a certain part of me that wants to just big mana this guy, because black, red, and green, what is that? Trample, haste, and evasion? Menace or death touch or whatever. I mean, you could stack this guy pretty deep. And the more times he dies, the bigger he comes back. So, and this one is really good because your commander tax, your two generic that gets added to it, well, that's mana spent to cast it. So it's 2 more counters. Pretty neat. And just terrifying Hydra art, I'm saying. Castra, the Cultivator. 4 mana 4/4, not bad. Bestow of 7. So she is obviously the Bestow commander. That's what I'm going to be. She's going to lead my Bestow deck. Yeah, I never thought I'd be saying that. But whenever an enchanted creature or an enchantment creature you control attacks, draw a card. So it begs me the question, what if your enchantment creature is enchanted? Or, it says or and not and, so I think you would only get 1 trigger out of it, because would you either have to declare it as an enchantment that's drawing you the card, or as enchanted? I don't know. Not a judge. But I am curious if y'all know if I have a bestowed enchantment on a enchantment creature, if I would draw 2 cards if that swung. Don't know. Don't think it really matters. I don't really see myself doing that. The bestow costs are generally pretty exorbitant. Now, keep in mind, it isn't a cost. The bestow is, so commander tax will get added to that. But it kind of almost has like a pseudo shield, or pseudo, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. A kind of sort of shield that if she starts off as an enchantment and her creature dies, she just sprouts legs and starts running at you. So I like that. Now, we have the man, Lord Windgrace, original ruler of the Swamp of Urborg. Love this guy. He's been in the storyline forever. We finally get a card. And what a card. It's a 5-mana walker for 5 loyalty. Hey, this is not bad. They were smart enough not to let it ultimate off of Doubling Season when cast. Thank you. The last thing we need is another degenerate Planeswalker combo with Doubling Season. +2, you discard a card and then draw a card. But if you discarded a land, you get to draw 2 cards. So that's really sweet. Because ideally, you know what else is 5 mana that cares about lands being discarded? Get Rog. Yeah, they're besties. The Panther and the Frog. Is that a Disney movie? Anyway. -3. Return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Also not bad, because typically, I know in my Get Rog build, the whole thing is about putting lands into the yard and sacking lands and Herald, of course, all kinds of stuff. And then you're just going to get them back. And his ultimate is just blank to me because I don't think I'll ever use it. Because I'm probably just going to use it as a draw engine. But you get to destroy 6 non-land permanents and then get 6 kitty cats that have force walk, that are warriors. It's not bad, really. You can straight up hose somebody out of the game. I mean, if somebody's just bothering you, you can nuke 6 of their things, and if they have a forest, they're kind of screwed, or you can spread out the love so that everybody's good and mad at you. I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably going to +2 and -3 this Joker till the end of time. Here's my girl, Heatley the Gifted. Yes, she is. 4 mana for a 4/4. I'm sorry, 4 mana for a 4 loyalty. +1, you get a servo. +1, the next spell you cast this turn costs 1 less for each artifact you control as you cast it. Now, that's beautiful. It does not specifically tell you what kind of spell it has to be. It doesn't say artifact or sorcery or walker or creature. No, just whatever the next spell is. So if you've got a ton of artifacts and, say you've got some servos and thopters laying around in your soul ring or whatever, and you happen to draw into that omniscience, hey, it's like castable now. You ain't got to show and tell that Jun out now. Or my favorite thing would be, hey, check out this Darksteel Forge. Sup. Blightsteel Colossus also does a fine job in that role, but Blightsteel has climbed up to be ridiculous. Thank you, competitive players. Because, just in case, Blightsteel Colossus, the rules committee has said that yes, Commander, it is still 10 poison. And you know what? I think that's fair. I really do. And because if you get hit by Phage once, you're just going to die. So if you get hit by a Blightsteel and it costs significantly more, you're just going to die. Anyway, her ultimate. -7. For each artifact you control, make a token copy of it. Of course, they have haste, and you lose them at the end step. That's cool. It's the one shot I've got to get through this turn. Now, we haven't known a lot about Tantos, except he's got this really cool weapons and really cool coffin. And there again, I could swear I have seen... Is this a... No, they don't do invitational cards anymore, and they don't do vanity cards, but I swear this artist had to have had somebody in mind, because I've seen this face before. I've seen it on TV or something. But anyway, Tantos Urza's Apprentice, 2 mana, 1/3, Artificier, human. He's got haste, and he copies an activated or triggered ability from an artifact source. That is super versatile. It's not just one, it's both. Or either or, rather. So, I don't exactly know. I mean, obviously, I kind of want to copy the Monslaver ability, obviously, and there's some abilities triggered or activated that you just really want to copy. And, he seems like a good guy to do it. Super Upset Spider, Tantos, the War Weaver. She is one bad chica. I'm telling you. 6 mana, 5/5 Vigilance Reach. I'll pay that. Sure. All creatures attack each combat. Yes! Y'all have all been there. You've been at that game. It's drug on too long. Somebody just needs to win, but nobody's going to throw it. You're all going to play to the best of the ability of the cards that you have. And nobody's going to swing if it's not a profitable swing. But you know what? Tantos ends games. And then, when creatures attack you, Tantos gets bigger. Hey, come at me, bro. Next, we have to Vasa. first officer from Star Trek. Oh, no. I'm sorry. This is a merfolk shaman, and to be honest with you, I wanted to build merfolk tribal 3-color because Lorwyn had the white merfolk and Ixalan had the green merfolk, and of course blue merfolk had been around since the beginning of the game. So I really wanted to do that, but her ability is so ballin', I couldn't ignore it. And I couldn't find enough merfolky enchantments that I cared about to make it work. So I was like, just that one word, it made me want to build the 3-color merfolk deck. And I think that's why they did that, is to give you the option of, hey, here's your play with all your merfolk toys. But she does get +1/+1 for each enchantment you control, and whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, draw a card. Now, they say that the reason why she's not a true enchantress to draw a card off of everyone is that would lead you down a path of playing 1 and 2 mana enchantments, and that's not where they wanted to go. This is I'm going to play my big 5 and 6 mana enchantments. That's what I'm doing with it. And yeah, I may play 1 a turn, or I may play more than 1, whatever. But she's going to get really big really quick. There's a good chance that she never hits the board as a 3 mana 1/1. Just saying. Next we have Varina, the Lich Queen. Not Farina, the ground up breakfast. Anyway. What is this? Esper? White, blue, black? 4 mana 4/4 zombie wizard. Whenever you attack with 1 or more zombies, draw that many cards, discard that many cards, gain that much life. Holy crap, that's good. Exile 2 cards from your yard, create a tapped zombie. Whoa. Oh, all right, here it is again. In Innistrad, the zombies, they took the zombies to blue because they told us that there was pretty much 2 kinds of necromancers in the world. There was the guys that raise the dead, and then there was the stitchers, like the Frankenstein people who were the scientists that, sewed parts together. And that would be the blue one because, nature versus nurture, whatnot. And then in Amonkhet, we got white zombies because they are the subservient race of zombies. So now we have the ability to have a 3-color zombie deck. I'm so glad I've already got my Rooftop Storm. This is exactly probably what I'm going to do with the deck, is I'm probably going to just build 3-color zombies and go raw. But this ability to draw, discard, and gain life, because typically in black you lose life when you draw. It's amazing. But I love how they put all 3 colors abilities in there. You're going to draw because she's blue. You're going to discard because she's black. You're going to gain because she's white. Man. This is the zombie. Yeah, she's the Lich Queen. And we all bow to her. Windgrace's Judgment. My pick here for, oh my gosh, this is going to be the card that gets absolutely... It's going to need a reprint in some kind of conspiracy set or some kind of masters or whatnot, because this thing is going to get ridiculous quick. You get 1 in a $40 item. A $40 pack, you get 1 of these. Now, granted, it's guaranteed in that one, but still, for any number of opponents, you get to blow something up as long as they land. Whoa. Everybody loses their best thing. I think this is super powerful. Could be wrong. Don't know. But I think this is going to shoot up. How about Zhang Jian? Now, Zhang Jian she traveled around with Urza too. Now, what was the book? I believe the book was Planeswalker. It was right after the Brothers' War. I read all those books back then. There was, I don't know, there was 1 per set, so there was 16, 17, 18 books of that storyline. Planeswalker was the hardest read. because they like didn't do anything for the whole book. They were just like planning. And anyway, Xantia, 3 mana 5/5. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She's a minion, so Chainer's all up on it. But when she enters the battlefield, somebody else gets her. And she attacks each combat if able and can't attack its owner or planeswalkers its owner controls. That's pretty sweet. And she has the ability of 3 mana : her controller loses 2 life, and you draw a card. Any player can activate that. That's so whoever's got her, whoever you give her to is dying. Let's face it, is dying. Because you're tempting the rest of the table with 3 mana, deal 2 damage, draw a card. What? Yeah. That's a big temptation that most of your table can't overlook. And even you can't overlook it, because I'm going to be running a ton of mana ramp, as much as, black-red will allow. But here's the problem. When the person you gave her to dies, you get her back. She's in play. She's not exiled. You get her back. I think I researched this a couple days ago, and I'm still fuzzy on it. But I'm pretty sure in multiplayer, when a person leaves the game, all of their permanents cease to exist. And if they control things, they no longer control them. Like if they had a control magic on your creature, then that control magic goes away. You get the creature back, much like Xantia. The opponent is no longer there, so it comes back under your control, and therefore people will want to kill you with her ability, because they're still drawing 3 mana : draw a card, So we're going to need a way to sacrifice her religiously at will, because you don't want no Phyrexian Sleeper hanging around with you. You want her to be somewhere else. Next, we got a 3-color Sphinx. I don't know of many black Sphinxes. I'm sure there were some back in the Lar block, because they did all kind of weird stuff. Flying, Vigilance, Menace. An ability for each color. 3/5. Whenever the Sovereign attacks, you reveal the top card of your library. Another card that's going to make us want to top. If that card's converted mana cost is odd, you can cast it for the free. Otherwise, draw it. She has an odd casting cost. She's 3/5, which is kind of odd power and toughness. The first thing you think of is this card is odd, even the artwork. So obviously, when I build this deck, it's going to be all odd, and I'm going to want that the Pumpkin Spice Eldrazi that says you can't even. But it's pretty neat. Next, we have the all-star of the set, of course, Yuriko. She is amazing. Commander Ninjutsu is going to be how I cast her every single time. She's always going to cost 2. I'll never pay the commander tax. I don't care, because my entire deck is going to be unblockable. And when that happens, she's just going to come down and swoop in and slap you in the face. And whenever a ninja deals combat damage to a player, reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to the target card's converted mana cost. Whoa. Reverse Bob. Okay? This is amazing. So, now it only triggers with ninjas. So the very first thing we all did was we went to gather and we searched, or Scryfall, wherever we go for the searching. I'm kind of old school. It took me a long time to learn to use the Gatherer, so I'm still using it. I've tried Skyfall, but I'm just not proficient enough in it yet. But anyway. And we're going to find out that in blue-black there ain't a whole lot of ninjas to make a commander deck out of, because, for a tribe to matter, you're going to want, 20, 30, 40 of that tribe. It ain't there in blue and black ninjas. So I'm going to go the conspiracy xenograph route and just, hey, they're all ninjas. Deal with it. And, oh, yeah, they're all unblockable too. So they're unblockable ninjas. Now they're going to hit you, and they're going to hit you good. And I'm going to draw cards. Well, technically it's not drawing, so you're not punished for draw effects, like Underworld Dreams or what have you. You reveal the card and put that card in your hand, which is pretty sweet. Love Eureka. Ancient Stone Idol. It costs a 10 mana that you'll never cast. You'll never pay 10 for it. I love the 12/12. I love the flash. It costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature. Oh, of course it has trample, because why not? And when it dies, you're going to get the same... There was a 6/12 construct token back in like Zendikar block somewhere. Whirlwake, maybe? I don't know. But when it dies, it leaves something behind, which is cool. Now, I love that it says for each attacking creature and not each attacking creature attacking you, because when player B upsets player C and they swing out with their tokens and you're like, oh, you got 10, here's my guy. And there's this guy. I think I'm going to say that every time I cast him. And there's this guy, because he has flash. Coveted Jewel. I'll be honest with you, I've been trying. I've been trying hard to find a home for this card. 6 mana. When it comes into play, you draw 3 cards, and you add 3 mana of any color. That sounds too good to be true, because it is. Whenever one or more creatures an opponent controls attacks you and aren't blocked, so they've got to be blocked, you have to block everything. That player draws 3 cards, gets the jewel, and untaps it. I'm sure it's still new to me, and I haven't wrapped my mind around how to abuse this yet. Maybe in the Varchild thing, where survivors can't attack me, but all their other dudes can. Yeah, I got nothing here. But it does. It really, really seems like there's something there. We'll get there. Endless Atlas. Now this is really good for the monocolor decks, of which y'all know I have a bunch. It's a Jam Day Tome at half the cost and half the activation cost, so that is beautiful. Yeah, you're probably going to have 3 mountains most of the time, because red ain't got a whole hell of a lot of card draw. White, green's probably got better ways. Blue definitely has. Black definitely has. But in my red or white decks, this is probably what I'm doing. Poor Boros, they always get the shaft. But that's just about the only way that you're going to have 3 or more lands with the same name, unless you do some kind of crazy, weird shenanigans, which we are wont to do sometimes. Geode Golem, 5 mana, 5/3 trample. That sounds familiar. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander without paying its mana cost. You still got to pay the commander tax, though, which is fine. That's fine. Wow, this really lets you cheat it into play. 5/3 trample, so that way it's... I like how they balance that. 5, so it's probably going to deal some trample damage, but 3 toughness, so it's probably going to die whatever they blocked with it. Or it's probably going to blocked it with. So it's pretty much a one-shot dude. Unless, you give him this Whisper Silk Cloak, because, that's fun at parties. Or so Harry Potter's dad said. Okay, Retrofitter Foundry. I love how it's 3, 2, 1. So it's 1 mana artifact. 3 mana untaps it. This is already starting to feel broken. So 2 mana gets you a Servo. 1 and a Servo gets you a Thopter. And then a Thopter gets you a Construct. Wow, that seems really good. So, let's see. How much mana? If you've already got it on the board, so you've done paid the cost. So you pay 2 to make your servo. You spend 3 to untap it, we're up to 5. You spend 1 to sack the servo to get the Thopter. And then 3 more to untap it, so we're up to 9 mana to make a 4/4 construct. I guess if you've got some infinite mana and need something to do with it, this is the way. Hey, maybe I can find a home for it. Forge of Heroes. Now, Forge of Heroes is in every commander deck. All 4 of them have it, like the Soul Ring and the Command Tower. Now, it is a colorless land. It does produce colorless, but it also, you get a 1/1 counter on a creature or a loyalty on a walker if it's your commander that enters the battlefield. Kind of a commander-only version of the Orin Reef thing. Now, I feel like if you're playing any of the single-colored commanders, you're going to be running this. I don't know about the 3-color commanders, because putting in a land, a colorless land, in your 3-color commander deck, I don't know. I probably will, just because I'm me. And our last new card number 59. For all the hubbub, we only got 59 new cards, which is not bad. It's another colorless land. 2, scry 1, so there you go. Top of the library stuff. Then you may reveal the top card of your library. If a basic land is revealed this way, just put it on the battlefield tapped. Activate this ability only if an opponent controls at least 2 more lands than you. So it's not dependable that you can do this every single turn, but it is dependable enough to where you can do it a bunch. You know, probably 3 or 4 times before it actually gets to where it's not going to. Okay, I'm going to get me a drink of water before we get into our reprints. Hopefully, we're, well over an hour in. I had no clue how long this was going to take. Didn't have a clue, because I've never done a set review before. This is my very first one. Y'all are in here with me. I appreciate you watching so far. To be sure to let me know what you think. But I think what we're going to do right now is I think we're going to start over into the new box with everybody's favorite Snow Angel. Now, Articar Valkyrie. I probably won't read as many of these as possible, because they are, like I said, it's been around since Cold Snap. Cold Snap was, I don't know, 30-odd sets ago. Flying Vigilance, but she does bring back something from the dead that died this turn. So it kind of, it's not quite a regeneration shield, but if they've got something really, really good, like I have used my Articar Valkyrie to bring back someone else's Elish Norn to my side. Because Elish Norn was out there, my Angel was out there, and the black player drew the damnation, and they were like, get rid of Elish Norn. And I was like, Elish Norn sucks, but not so much on my side. Anyway, Articar Valkyrie. Pretty good. Snow Angel. Johnny's Chosen, been reprinted a ton of times. It's a, I don't want to say a staple for an enchantment deck, but it does have enchantment fall, or constellation, I guess. No, because that's, we'll say enchantment fall. You get cat tokens. Chroma's Vengeance, I think, should be worth way more than it is, because it just tears up a board. Man, it does. It does all the things. For when you absolutely positively got to kill every... Yeah, anyway. It's a reset button. Banishing Stroke. It's a miracle. You put something on the bottom. I mean, it's nowhere worth the 6 mana. Yeah, it's kind of... You have to miracle it to feel like you're getting any kind of value. Celestial Archon. This guy, I think I've got like 20 originals of this card. I mean, it seemed to be the only rare I could pull from that set. Flying First Strike, I mean, it's got like angel stats, for 5 mana, but it does have the 7 mana bestow cost. Draw it early, draw it late. It's whatever. Crib Swap. I love exile target creature. It's one of my favorite phrases because it does not destroy. It gets around the regenerating, indestructible, I don't care, and you get a minor mutant ninja turtle. My buddy Eddie came up with that years ago when Lorwyn came out and the whole changeling thing, and he tried to look up the coolest strand of words he could find, and there's no teenage creature type. But thanks to a card in way back, I believe it's Legends, there's a minor demon. And so minor is a creature type. So we have minor mutant ninja turtles. Yeah. And you know what? That little baby in the crib, don't look far off. Dismantling Blow. It's a disenchant variant. I mean, what can I say? If it was kicked, you draw some cards. 6 mana, you better get to draw some cards. Entreat the Angels. It's one of the classics as far as the miracles go. I think the only one that was played more than this was the Take a Turn one. That was pretty good. X44, I've had this thing top decked on me many, many times, and you just hold on. What just happened? We have Lightform. Lightform enters the battlefield. It becomes an aura with enchant creature. Manifest the top card of your library and attach Lightform to it. It has lifelink and flying. Obviously, I've never played with this card. I've told you how I feel about Manifest. But I do see that it could have its uses. Martial Coup, another board wipe for this set. I mean, and it's like the super cool board wipe that where you get a team left behind. It's pretty sweet. And right behind it is yet another board wipe that leaves you with, instead of going wide, you're going tall with what's left behind. It's sick. They were really about killing some creatures. In white, anyway. Return to Dust, you're going to exile that. It's a exile version of a disenchant, which is fine. I mean, it's double casted, but if you do it during your main phase, you get 2, so it's kind of worth it. Sage's Reverie. Now, Sage's Reverie enters battlefield, draw a card for each aura you control that's attached to a creature. Sweet sauce. And it gets +1/+1 for each aura that's enchanted to a creature you control. So this is, if you're going to build auras, this is what you want. Sarah Avatar. No, there is no Oath of Druids in the deck. This is we used to oath this out, and we had Forbidden Orchard to give them a creature, and it all happened on like turn 2 or anyway. It's really good in your life gain deck. It's even better if you can cheat it out where you don't have to pay that 7 mana. It's amazing in 40 life commander. Sigil the Empty Throne. Card I believe does not get anywhere near enough respect. I love it. It's hard for me to build an enchantment theme without it because, free angels seems like where I want to be in life. Silent Sentinel. Now, the 7 mana cost is what steers a lot of people away, and I've been steered away myself. 4/6 flying, but when it attacks, you get a dead enchantment back. So that's, maybe the enchantment that you got back was Soul Snare, and you're just going to exile another creature. I don't know. Or maybe it's one of them that got blown up by one of your opponents. Terminus, one of the other Hallmark miracle cards. I wonder if Hallmark has a miracle card line. They probably do. I'm probably getting sued. Anyway, put all creatures on the bottom of owner's library for 1. I think this is really good. I have played it. I play it. I've cast this for 6 and not felt bad about it at all. Unquestioned Authority. I'm glad this is in there because I needed more copies because I run the heck out of it. it already replaces itself with the card draw, but it gives the creature protection from creatures, which means it ain't getting blocked, which that's mainly what I use it for those, well, swing in for commander damage, or for those that you want to deal combat damage with the commander, what have you. Yeah, Unquestioned Authority is the way to go. Yet another board wipe in Winds of Wrath, but this one is like stupid for 5 mana. You are just... It's one-sided, because odds are if you're putting this in a deck, yeah, most of your creatures are going to be enchanted. Or the ones you care about will be anyway. Or maybe you just put mask enchantments on them, and you're like, do. Now I'm going to hit you with all my things. Now, we breeze through white. How many white cards was that, by the way? Because it floors me at how the color distribution was made. It was at 4 and 9, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 white cards. Blue has 9, 18, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Blue has 33 cards. I don't know. It gets worse, though. Aethergale. Bounce 6 permanents. What? For 5 mana sorcery speed? Yeah, I like it. Archetype of Imagination. I love that they can't have or gain flying. I like when like 2 of these come back into play at the same time off of like a living death or whatever, and just people's heads explode trying to figure out what to do. Of course, we have Brainstorm for all your card drawing top deck manipulation needs. We've got Cloud Form. It's a manifest card. I mean, if manifest is your jam, it'll do it. It'll give it flying and hexproof. Conundrum Sphinx. They did put a few Sphinxes in here. 4 mana, 4/4 flyer. You know, chooses a card name. I love how each player reveals the top card of their library, which is way better than just 2-player. And then if a player revealed has this, if a player revealed, if a card a player revealed has the same name they chose, then they put the card into their hand. If it doesn't, they put it on the bottom of their library. So, obviously, each player, you're going to do it when you know what the top of your deck is. So, you're pretty much guaranteed to get that card. Devastation Tide, one of the other miracle cards. It's not to take a turn card. They didn't feel the need to put that in the deck. But a 2 mana evacuation, super evacuation, because it hits all non-lands. It gets the artifacts and enchantments too. Now we have the Dictate of Krufix. It is so hard to be responsible while saying this. Shut up, Danny. I know you're laughing. But it's kind of a fixed Howling Mine, because you're paying the 1 more mana for the flash, but you're playing it at the end of your opponent's turn so that you get the first card draw, and not it goes around the entire table and then everybody else got the advantage first. So, Djinn of Wishes. You're going to tutor 3 times. And 3 wish counters, of course, you can proliferate that to your heart's content. But, I mean, how many times do you really need to tutor? Really? Dream Cache, old school draw card. It's super weird. You draw 3, then put 2 cards from your hand, both on top of your library or both on the bottom. So you put 2 somewhere. So odds are, with all this top deck manipulation, you're putting them on top. Eel Umbra, of course, they're the totem armor theme. Mostly the commons and the uncommon totem armor stuff they brought back, because they just needed some representation for the totem armor for the enchantment deck. Ethereum Sculptor's back again. Does good work every time we see him. Ink Moth Leviathan. Wrong card. Inkwell Leviathan. 9 mana, 7/11. That's right. You're getting hit by a big old trample island walking shroud convenience store. So it has all the things. It's just a giant beater, and they're probably not blocking it. I mean, because they probably got islands, or they don't want to block it because it tramples. Anyway, it's a big guy. Into the Royal. Yeah, yeah. So it's a boomerang. And if it was kicked, you draw a card. Can't hit lands. Okay. We have Jeskai Infiltrator. Can be blocked as long as you have, or as long as you control no other creatures. So, Lone Ranger, gotcha. And when it deals combat damage to a player, exile it and the top card of your library in a face down pile. Shuffle that pile, then manifest those cards. What? The manifest is so terrible. I'm sure some of y'all watching probably love the manifest mechanic, but it's just not for me. Muldrifter is just a good old-fashioned card drawer from way back. Of course, you know, planting that ninja thought deep in our heads here with Ninja, the D-Powers. He was the common that saw a lot of play back then. Ponder, card drawing, top deck manipulation. You know how it is. Now, they brought Portent back. Portent was from Ice Age. It's been a long time. And it's pretty decent. It really is. It got outclassed by Brainstorm pretty quick. I mean, then we have Predict. 2 mana instant. You choose a card name, and then, you know, target player puts top card of the library in the graveyard. It has a chosen name, you draw 2 cards. Otherwise, you draw 1 card. So it does reward you to be right, as most things do. Reverse Engineer. Draw 3 cards, but your Thopters can help you out with this. Pretty neat. Wish it was an instant. That would be probably a little too powerful, though. So I get it. Heatley's Artistry. Choose one or both. Hey, make a copy artifact or clone. Except it's a well, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm about this. I had forgotten about this card from Kaladesh. I have not, however, forgot about the Sharding Sphinx because this works for all your artifact creatures. And every little Thopter that you swing with that deals damage, you're going to get another little Thopter. Now, granted, the tracking is weird because these are blue Thopters and not the colorless Thopters, and then there's some things that matter for color and colorless, and you do have to keep track. It's awfully nice to have the actual tokens, which they give us, although the token distribution is weird because they're double-sided. But anyway, this thing's a beast. It has to be stopped, or else your artifact army goes crazy and just starts taking to the air. Because then when the tokens that you made this turn attack, you get more tokens next turn, and it's dumb. Okay, Sigiled Starfish. Yeah, it just taps to scry 1. That's what it does. Top deck manipulation. Sphinx of Jar Isle. I love it. I'm glad it's super simple. I'm glad they put it in the set, in the deck. You can look at the top card of your library. I love it. Another Sphinx. It's like we're trying to encourage Sphinxes here. Enters the battlefield. Is this the Fact or Fiction one? An opponent separates those. Yeah, so it's real close to Fact or Fiction. It's just on a 5/6 flying body. Telling time. Now, they did put a whole lot of library manipulation in the deck. A lot of people are fussing because it didn't have the top or the scroll rack or things like that. But you know what? I feel like they do what they can do, and I put a great deal of trust in the people that make this. The Commander product sells every single year. Let's face it, Magic sells every single year. And I have been playing since 1994. I've never really stopped. There have been times I haven't bought as heavy as other times, but they've done a good job in keeping the game fresh and alive for 25 years. It is outstanding, and I have faith that they know what they're doing. They do a way better job than I could do. Who am I to tell them how to, you know, make magic cards? I'd make everything cost one. The game would break in a day. But anyway, telling time's pretty good. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. Thirst for knowledge. You draw 3 to discard 2 unless you discard an artifact. Huh. Thopter Spy Network. That sounds like, a channel in Kaladesh. This week on the Thopter Spy Network, we're going to get creatures during your upkeep. Of course, we have just good old-fashioned mana for cards in Tidings. Now, Treasure Hunt. Okay, how many words is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There's 24 words on Treasure Hunt. I think that passes Cryptic Command by 1 or 2. The reason why it matters to me is to reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-land card. Then put all cards revealed this way into your hand. They made this Joker textless. Y'all remember that? The Magic Player Rewards? It was several years ago, probably 10-ish years ago. And when you played in tournaments, you got so many points, and when you did well at tournaments, you got so many more, and stuff like that. And every once in a while, it worked out to about every 6 months or so, they'd send you some cards in the mail. That's how y'all see those textless lightning bolts, Wrath of Gods, Damnations, Cryptic Commands, things like that. Fireball, Putrefy, Mortify was in it, But anyway, Treasure Hunt was one. It's not an old staple card. I think the reason when they did away with that program, they said they were going to use that resource somewhere else. Now, I've never seen textless cards since then, ever. And I think the reasoning why is because they chose to do cards like Treasure Hunt and Cryptic Command. And, Fireball. Fireball is really wordy. It may actually, because of the whole X bounce thing. I don't know. That's just me. I'm a little on the crazy side. Foul Flight. Removal, not removal. I'll make your dude better, but it can't attack me. It's the play on politics. We've had Vals for several commander sets now. They're just bringing them back to whenever they fit. Of course, they fit the Aura theme. So we got the Whirler Rogue. It just pops in with a Thopter. And, tap 2 artifacts and make something unblockable. Probably your commander. Just saying. Last blue card. Whitewater Knights. 5 mana, 4/4. Yeah. Whenever it or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, target creature can't be blocked this turn. In my mind, I went 5 mana, 4/4. I was thinking automatically like air elemental stats, but I'm like, this don't fly. But it does make things unblockable, or something unblockable. Okay, let's start through all these black cards. There are 7. That's it. 7 black cards. Army of the Damned. Make a whole bunch of zombies. And it has flashback. Moonlit Bargain. You look at the top 5 cards of your library. For each card, put that card in your graveyard unless you pay 2 life and put the rest in your hand. So this is a one-shot greed. But you get to pick the cards. Obviously you're looking at 5, and if 3 of them are lands, and you really don't need any more lands right now, you don't have to pay that 2 life a card. So it's a little better than greed activations, but I don't know. Phyrexian Delver. As I remember, the original art on this was just frightening. 5 mana, 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. You lose life equal to its CMC. Now that is Reanimate, the card Reanimate, on a 3/2 body. So if you're comfortable paying 4 mana for a 3/2 body and 1 mana for Reanimate, it should be no problem. My odds are Reanimate was way undercosted to begin with. But I like it. it can get you back at a cost. That's how black works. Power at any cost. Of course, we have the Retreat to Hydra, 3-mana landfall enchantment, and you get to pick one. I like that you don't have to pick, and it's always in that mode. You just get to pick every time a land comes in. +1 in Death Touch is not bad, and then in the Life Drain is also not bad. Good old-fashioned to the point, Ruinous Path. Glad it's back. Glad they're not shy about the walker hate no more. For years, they did without walker hate. They're like, we're going to let walkers be a thing before we start printing cards to hate on them. Soul of Innistrad for 6 mana. It's an avatar, not a beast, not a zombie, not even a titan or a giant. It's an avatar. Eventually, I'll have to build an avatar deck. Probably I'll have to build 5 avatar decks or 6 or something. One for multi. I don't know. Anyway, 6/6 Death Touch, because, 6/6s totally need Death Touch, so they can kill whatever they block. And then you spend 5 mana, return up to 3 target creature cards from the graveyard to your hand. So that's really cool. Those things that you pitched earlier, or that died earlier. Or you can spend 5 mana and exile this from your yard to do it one more again. Stitched Together is our last black card. Double black. Return target creature card from a graveyard to your hand. So it's a double costed erase dead. It's going to get better, right? Threshold, return that card from the graveyard to the battlefield. That seems really strong, because you're probably going to have Threshold while playing zombies or Reanimator of some sort. So that's it for black. Let's go to red. Red only has 7 cards as well. We got Blasphemous Act. Of course, it's just going to, do what it does. It's going to kill creatures. Pretty much the same thing as Chain Reaction does. Now, Chaos Warp, as I guess y'all saw in the it was a pretty good description in the Box Bus video, just in case you haven't seen it. It's Chaos Warp. I know Morrow, probably all of R&D, does not like the fact that this card exists, because it gives red a way to destroy, quote-unquote, enchantments. And they don't want that ability. It's something that shouldn't happen. Red should not have that ability. That's red's weakness. But then Chaos Warp got printed. And so it's one of those things where you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. It's already out, and we know people use it, and it's a card people look for. So they use it as the carrot to dangle in front of our nose to lead us out to our LGSs. And by the way, I haven't talked about that. Your friendly local game store, I'm sorry. I need to do it every single video I do. Support your friendly local game store. That's where I got these at. This morning, I got there about 10 minutes before he opened. And waiting out front of that game shop felt an awful lot like waiting for Santa. But yes, you can buy these cards at your big box stores in Walmart, Target, I'm sure. But you know what? They don't have buy box promos. They don't have F&M there. You can't go there, and I needed a fountain watch for one of the decks that I'm going to build. Walmart ain't got that crap. No. I went into the Collector's Connection in Dyersburg, and I said, Jeff, I need a fountain watch. And he said, let me grab the Mercadian Mass Binder. Because he knew, because he's dedicated. It's what he does, and I was able to get a fountain watch. But anyway, support your local game store. That's what it's all about. They are the without them, this game would crumble, and it gives us a place to play. It gives the community a place to have a home. So anyway, that's probably not the end you'll hear me say that. Flame Blast Dragon. It's a dragon that breathes fire. Imagine that. But it actually breathes a fireball when it attacks. So I like that. That's way better than just fire breathing, because you can aim it at, creatures, players, walkers, cousin's named Bob. I don't know. Hellcat Igniter. In, like I said, your Duretti deck or whatever, This is what I'm going to call super fire breathing. For 2 mana, he gets dumb. Colorless and a red. Now, 5/5, so he's big enough to withstand a wildfire, which is going to take out all the little stuff. It deals 4 damage to everybody and eats up 4 of everybody's land. Wait a minute, because in wildfire decks, you run a lot of artifact mana, and all the artifacts you can that produce red colored so that you can wildfire, and you're generating all. Whoa. Yep, it kind of looks like at some point in time I'm actually going to build the ready now. We have Magma Quake, which is Earthquake. 1 more mana tacked on to change it to an instant, which is fine by me. I love it. And it replaces player with Planeswalker, so I'm really fine with not taking the damage from my own Earthquake. We got that Thopter Engineer, just a dude that brings a Thopter. 16, or almost 9, 18, 27. There's 41 green cards. This set is so weighted to green because you do have some 3-color decks out there. I think there's 3-color decks, and of course green has the ways to fix your mana problems. We all know that. And acidic slime is just a good staple. It is used everywhere because it's something that we do. Generally, acidic slime is green's hella good card advantage because you're almost guaranteed a 2-for-1 here. You're going to kill something on the way in, and you're probably going to kill something blocking it with Death Touch. So, Aura Gnarlid. Creatures with less power can't block it. And it gets 1/1 for each aura on the field. So, not bad. I mean, it does what it needs to do in the aura deck. Avenger of Zendikar. Mr. Landfall. Now, this guy wins games. I ain't got to tell y'all that. Because you're going to play him in Turbo Land Ramp. I'm going to play all these lands decks, and I'm already getting all these other landfall triggers, and then I've got, 13 lands out there, and I get 13 plants, and then I keep on playing lands because Zeus is my general, and I'm just drawing cards off of draw a card for each creature I control, and then blam, it's dumb. Avenger of Zendikar is one of those cards that just, it needs to be answered, because if it's unanswered, they are climb way far ahead into the game. Baloth Woodcrasher. I kind of like that +4/+4 and trample landfall ability too. I mean, multiple instances of trample, of course, really don't matter, but multiple instances of +4 do. Sure enough. Believe it or not, we got Bear Umbra. Second printing of Bear Umbra. It kind of sort of Seedborns, When it attacks, you untap all your lands, so it's not really Seedborn-ish, but it is totally Bear Umbra, and I love it. It's in my Tribal Bears, if y'all remember from Goreclaw, which is good because I think that was the last one I had. Boon Satyr. Just a good bestow creature. 3 mana 4/2. We've got the Explorer here. Everybody can discard. I got to quit tapping the table like that. Everybody can discard. Each player who did can Rampant Growth. Oh, no, not Rampant Growth. You just put it in your hand. Well, it's not as cool as I thought it was. That's 2 mana 3/1. I don't know. Maybe with that guy that says take 10 when you start. I don't know. Even then. Now, Lakota Gardener. I didn't know that they were going to reprint the flip cards anymore. I'm kind of glad they did. You get to put another land in the battlefield. Then if you get 10 or more lands, you flip it. And then you start making Gigantor Elemental tokens. equal to the number of lands you control, which is pretty neat. Now it's 6 mana, but at that point in time, you already have at least 10 lands, so you're probably not sweating it. However, if you cast this and you already have 10 lands, you do have to activate that ability. You don't have to have a land. You know, if I've got 13 lands, I draw this. Yeah, I play it. I wait for it not to be sick. I'm going to tap it. I may put a land. I'm obviously not going to because I don't have one. This is the last card in my hand because, you know, I'm in top deck mode because I'm playing against Rakdos. And anyway, then I can flip it. It was a very specific scenario, wasn't it? Centaur Vine Crasher. 4 mana, 1/1. Enters the battlefield with a number of 1/1 counters on it, equal number of lands in all graveyards. I don't know if this is in my Get Rog deck, but man, it sure needs to be. Whenever a land is put into a graveyard from anywhere, you can play double green. If you do, return this from your yard to your hand. This is ridiculous. He's really good. I'm going to go back. Y'all probably know, well, before I do, I've got to put this in Get Rog if it's not already in there. Consigned to Dust, it's just, you know, removal. Artifacts and enchantment removal. Now, Creeping Renaissance is their way of printing reserve list cards. They can't print Replenish, but they can totally print Creeping Renaissance, which is, you know, a little better because it does work in your land decks. It does work in your enchantment decks. I think I've got one that attracts the Super Friends for somebody, you know, late game. You draw it and it's like, oh, look at that. 5 mana for all the dead walkers. Cultivate is the non-arcane version of Kodama's Reach. You know, 1 to the hand, 1 to tapped. Dawn's Reflection. It looks like somebody else had the idea that I did about, you know, enchanting your lands and untapping all enchanted permanents and making ridiculous things. Eidolon Blossoms, which is, I thought this would have, I don't know, Eidolon of the Enchantress or something like that. You know, something to give it in the theme, but we were in a different world at the time. I don't know. But it does the enchantment thing, Enchantress thing. You know, it just has to enter the battlefield. This is not a cast. So maybe that's why they did the difference there, is because most of the other actual enchantresses are cast. Like the very next card is the first time it's ever been reprinted, Enchantress's Presence. I had assumed that it was on the list, but it's not. It's just an enchantment version of an enchantress. And that's really good because it just doesn't die to board wipes. Epic Proportions was the big dog until we got, you know, Eldrazi Conscription or whatever. But 5/5 and Trample's not bad. Explorer, additional land and drawing a card in green. I use it a bunch. Explosive Vegetation, tickled to death to have more copies of this because y'all know me. Y'all have seen this in a ton of decks that I've got. Far Wanderings. Now, Far Wanderings, I haven't. There's just something about the value that is possible here that I have to ignore the entire first sentence because I probably ain't going to cast it till I have Threshold because I'm hungry for the 3 times the value. Farhaven Elf. It's going to go get the land, put it into play tapped. It's weird how that's a thing now. Wood Elves just puts it into play untapped. Now, granted, it's a forest, and this is any basic land, so this kind of helps your multicolor to get that color that you're off of. Hence the reason why there are so many green cards and so many green-leaned duels, because you've got to have green to cast all your fetchers, and then your green cards go and get your other, you know, your mountain or your forest or whatever you've got. Fertile Ground, same thing. Land Enchantment, and produce any color mana. Grapple with the Past. Top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, and you may return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. So you're milling 3. Probably going to trigger your Gitrog. I guess you can tell I'm pretty high on Gitrog. Love that guy. Ground Seal. Draw a card. Cards in graveyards can't be targeted spells or abilities. That's what the Reanimator doesn't want to see. I mean, it doesn't take away the graveyard, but you sure can't reanimate. Harrow, good mana fixer. And, I mean, Harrow's been around for forever, but when Zendikar introduced Landfall, it was just an automatic include they put in the set. And I'm so glad they did because it fits so well. It's like they designed it for Zendikar 10 years before. Herald of the Pantheon. Your enchantments are cheaper, and you cast enchantments, you gain a life. So, of course, it's a natural fit to any type of aura or enchantment deck that we're going to build. I know it is for mine. Now, Hunting Wilds. Here again, I'm probably never paying the kicker. I've never, so far. It came out in like Planar Chaos. I have never paid the kicker. I just search for 2 forests, put them on the battlefield, go on about my day. Because sometimes, not all times, do you want your creatures to be lands. Remember that guy, you know, 3/3, that guy that dies, all creatures get -3. That if it just seems like more of a liability, unless it's my shtick and that's how I'm going to win. I try to stay away from lands becoming dudes as just ancillary value, you know. 6 mana for an 8/8. That's value, and you can tell that's a green card. Combat damage to one person, deals that much to every opponent. That's beautiful. So I've seen many, many people's like, I'm at 30. I won't block. I'll take it. Danny's at 6. He'll die. So, yeah. It does encourage the table talk. I love the politics aspect of the game. Of course, y'all know that. Another landfall enchantment here in the Heart Expedition. Just going to go fetch some land. Crew fixes Insight. Now, I'll be honest with you, I got to read this one. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. Put up to 3 enchantment cards from among them into your hand, and the rest revealed cards in your graveyard. Wow. 6 cards, you get 3 enchantments. So if you've got a high enough concentration, you're getting all 3. And the rest go to your yard where you're going to, like, trigger Gitrog with that land. No, I got to stop using that. Mulgraf Monstrosity for 7 mana. We get an 8/8 trample. Seems decent enough. When it dies, you exile it and return 2 creature cards at random from your graveyard to the battlefield. So he's going to bring back 2 dead things at random. So you don't really get to choose, which, I don't know. I guess you control, you only have 2. Overgrowth. Good classic card from years gone by. Your land now taps for 3 mana. Whatever it normally taps for, plus 2 green mana. Rampaging Baloth. My favorite landfall all-star. Since Zendikar. Love it. 6 mana, 6/6 trample, and it has 4/4 babies every time you drop a land. Yeah, a lot of times this is my Azusa win condition. Rex Sage, just good old-fashioned value in an elf. I mean, Secure Tribe Elder. He's a snake, so it's good for the snake deck. The art though, it's the same art from Kamigawa Block, but I've always thought that there was like 2 dudes piggybacking. It's the forearm thing just weirds me out. I don't know, but anyway, it's a good card. You block with it until you're going to block something big, and then block, sack, go get. Rule number 781. There are always more scoot bugs. I'm telling you, the scoot mob is something that people just overlook at tables. I mean, I know a lot of people play them, but at tables, it gets overlooked. You're like, oh, what is that? It's a scoot mob. I'm not worried about it. Well, 5 turns when it comes at them, and it's a 26/26 or something crazy, or 21, 5, but anyway. They're like, hold on, what? Or somebody from down the table is like, what's that over there with all them counters on it? Oh, that's my scoot mob, remember? Yeah, it's good times, bro. Snake Umbra. We are at card number 162, so we're a little over halfway through the set. Ooh. Enchanted creature gets 1/1 and has whenever this creature deals damage to an opponent, you may draw a card. Of course, it's got just a good old totem armor thing. Now, as far as untapping lands with the Planeswalker chick and just going infinite with her, this could be some like just tacked on there, just get an infinite number of 5/5 beast with trample. That seems, like not a bad thing. Of course, the green Val. Wild Growth, been around since Alpha. Yavimaya Elder, in probably the worst art. Well, I love that Urza block art, I really do. But it's a good card. I mean, it's one green card that's going to net you 3 cards. A card draw, and then like 2 lands. So, it's not bad. Last green card is Yavimaya Enchantress. +1 for each enchantment on the battlefield. Excuse me while I take a drink for a moment. Mouth getting a little dry. Okie dokie. We are into gold. Of which, of course, there's a bunch of. We have Ether Mage's Touch. 4 mana instant. You reveal the top 4 of your library. You can put a creature on the battlefield, and it's going to bounce at the beginning of your end step. So, if you've got, it doesn't deal cast triggers, but it will do ETB triggers. Bant Charm is good utility for any deck that can use it. Bruna looks outstanding in that border. I am loving that border. I love it every time I see it. It is just beautiful. Can't wait till they get around to, all the ones they can get around to. Charnel Horde Worm. I've looked at this card so many times and tried to fit it in every deck I could think of, but it just... I mean, it's 7 mana for 6/6 trample. Well, it's not terrible, but it's 3 colors. So, and yeah, you get the free regrowth when it deals damage to an opponent, but it just seems like it hardly ever happens. We have Cold-Eyed Selkie. It's another good, I hit you, I'm going to draw a card. I love it, though, because the Cold-Eyed Selkie says you draw that many cards. So that is sweet. Daxos getting the new treatment. He's a good commander in and of himself. Of course, can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater, so he's a really good Voltron guy that a lot of people use, because once he gets up so big, the only guys that can block him are small. Anyway. Death Heap Ritual. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you can draw a card. So that's each end step. So that's really good. I like it. I like it a lot. Decimate, 1 for 4. That's card advantage, right? Now, you do have to have all 4 targets. I mean, it doesn't say up to or anything. Duskmantle Seer. Beginning of your upkeep, each player reveals the top card of their library, loses life equal to that card's CMC, and then puts it in their hand. So everybody bobs. Hey, it's Bob for apples. Now, Elderwood Scion. I saw this today, and I went, what? Hold on, this is in the reprint section. I've never seen this card before, because it was like in Plane Chase, and that was it. 5 mana, 4/4 trample lifelink. Spells you cast at target it cost 2 less to cast, so pretty much your auras. And spells your opponent's cast to target cost 2 more. So, right on. I kind of like it. It's a really good aura holder. Enigma Sphinx, another Sphinx, because that's what they're encouraging. The Artifacty Sphinx. When it's put into the graveyard, you can put it in your library, 3rd from the top, and it has Cascade. And at 7 mana, you're going to get, You're not going to pass too many cards before you hit something. I lost my spot. Oh, okay. Esper Charm. There again, if you're in the colors, it's pretty good. It might not be, maybe pretty good. Might be a little too strong. Destroy target enchantment for 3 mana. I'm not feeling that. 3 mana, drawing 2 cards, so it's average. And 3 mana, target player discards Mind Rot, so it's The utility is what helps here. If you need a slot in a deck where you need some versatility and you feel that you might want to do all those things, yeah, this is not a... Finest Hour. Exalted. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it's super exalted. Because if it's the first combat phase, you get an additional combat phase. Finest Hour is really good with Rafik decks. I say Rafik decks because he's those colors. Any one-shot commander damage deck to where you can one-shot 2 different people the same turn really does help in making a difference. Gaze of Granite, I was proud to see this card in here. It kind of acts like a board wiper. Plague Boiler, as I remember. Anyway, cost extra less. Kills a bunch of things. Grizzly Salvage. You reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a creature or land in your hand, the rest in your yard. So, good ways to fill up a graveyard for Threshold or Delirium or whatever it is that you're wanting to do. High Priest of Penance is a cleric. He's like the ultimate white-black cleric. Is dealt damage, you may destroy target non-land permanent. So you got to find a way to keep this Joker alive. You want to put the Darksteel plate on him and then go to town with Pestilence. I'm telling you. Because that's how you lose friends, folks. Lavalanche. I've got to scoot back even more. I think I tilted a little bit, didn't I? Lavalanche. X damage to target player or planeswalker and each creature that player or that planeswalker's controller controls. Screw you and all your stuff. That's what it is. Maverick Thopterus, of course, 2/2. It's gonna. You get 2 Thopters with this guy. Mortifies. I'm gonna say the first. I don't know. No, Vindicate's older than Mortify, so Vindicate was the first. Orzhov gets the best dang removal. Vindicate is good, Utter End is good, Mortify is good. The versatility of creature or enchantment, black don't have that. However, I do like Putrefy because it's artifact or creature. There again, black doesn't have that. Now, Righteous Authority is one of those things that I've never been able to put in a deck, I don't think. But I always try. Because, yeah, it gets 1/1 for each card in your hand, and it's got a personal Howling Mine attached to it. That seems like something I want to be a part of. We got ourselves a Rubble Hulk. Now, it's 6 mana, but it's a good 6 mana. Power toughness equal number of lands you control. So this is not going to be a small dude. And, of course, it has Blood Rush, meaning you can pay the 3, and it's a giant growth version of itself. It's pretty much what the Blood Rush does. And it does, by default, put this creature into the graveyard if that's what you're trying to do for other things. Savage Twister, it just wipes off all the weenies. That's what I've always done with it. 2-color decks, it's kind of a pyroclasm that's as big as you want it. As nasty as you want to be. Here's another ninja plant. It's a demon ninja for 7 mana. That's a 6/5 ninjutsu. What's up with that? Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, look at that player's hand. Cast something for the free. I like for the free. But I also don't like that this leads you down a path that Or are we going back to some place that has ninjas? We're probably not going back to Kamigawa. Probably not. This set here, this is probably as close as we're getting to going back to Kamigawa. Unflinching Courage has it is reworded Armadillo Cloak. They like the wording on Unflinching Courage better than Armadillo Cloak, which is why they keep reprinting it. Utter End, get it gone. Get it gone. It's an instant. It's 4 mana. That thing right there must go. And this is just precision pinpoint removal, and I love it. Planeswalkers, enchantments, whatever ails you, as long as it ain't a land, it's gone. Worm Harvest. Now, probably one of the most broken cards in Get Rog. You get a 1/1 for each land in your yard, and then the card has an ability that lets you put lands in the yard to recast it from the yard. So, I mean, it builds up quickly. Zendikar Incarnate. Now, Zendikar Incarnate, there again, its power is only equal, so it's still always going to have a 4 toughness, but it's still going to be, ridiculously large. Okay, this box here is getting kind of full. We are to artifacts now, so I think we're going to switch back over to this box. A lot of these artifacts are just plain and simple. I mean, we have Azora Signet. Glad they're here because I'm smack out of signets. Blink Moth Urn. This is one of my personal favorites. I love it. If they let you untap with this, of course, now granted, here again, everybody else is getting the benefit before you, but they're probably not getting as much of a benefit. Everybody's going to get 2 or 3 mana, whatever. And you're untapping it, and you're going to get 6, 10 mana off of this. If they let you untap with it, it's hard to lose. We got Bosch. Bosch was the original red artifact commander. You can just swing in for your 6 damage, and when they try to kill it, you just spend 4 mana and sack him, and just bosh him in the head for 8. That's what I did. Chief of the Foundry is going to help make them Thopters bigger, because, that's what we want to do. Commander Sphere, that here again, there's one in every deck. Is there one? No, there's not one in every deck, because I've only got 4, and I bought 2 sets, so there are 2 decks that have them and 2 decks that don't have them. So, but it's really strong as far as 3 mana rocks go. It's up there. It's superior to Manalith. It depends on your line of thinking on the ingot, but Crystal Ball, aka Poeman's Top. Darksteel Juggernaut, which, of course, if you're running tons of artifacts, there's no reason why you shouldn't be running a Juggernaut for any deck, because he's amazing. And the fact that he has to attack. We have the Dimir Signet. Proud of that. Dreamstone Hedron. I love the Hedron because it gives you the mana, it gives you the cards when you don't need the mana anymore. There's a lot of those, and so far that's the top end. We've seen the 2, we've seen the 4, we've seen the 6. I guess in years, if we ever go back to Zendikar, we're going to get an 8. I don't know. That seems a little much. Duplicate. Finally. Back again. Yeah. Duplicate's really, really good. Exile target non-token creature. So you're going to take out, a creature. And it has power and toughness and creature types of the last card it exiled. So, it's still a shapeshifter, but it's going to take the place of the thing, like a duplicate would. Hedron Archive, there's the 4-banger. So it's 4 mana, gives you 2, draws you 2. Is it Signet? Of course, we didn't know that was a cycle for years until, Magnifying Glass here again. Investigate. Hey, that's a token. The Clue token is a token that we can turn into 10/10 Eldrazi tokens. Rawr. Because nobody really thinks a lot of clues or gold or treasure for that matter. You could just, I wonder how many different kinds of tokens and cards you could just generate and then with Brutaclad, change them all into this Eldrazi thing. I think that may be what I do. Mimic Vat. I'm going to have to read it because, to be honest with you, I have never cast this card as many printings as it has. Whenever a non-token creature dies, you may exile that card. Okay. So it's imprinted on the vat. Each other card exiled, if you do a return. All right, so you only get to have one card imprinted on it at a time. Okay, that's fair. 3 mana tap, make a token. Okay, I'm down with that. So if we enchant this with something and we can keep untapping it with our infinite generals, we can keep making tokens that are copies of something. I don't know. Surely there's a creature that we care about having a bunch of copies of. Surely. Mindstone was the first of the cycle. 2 mana, gives you 1, sacks to draw 1. And that was way back there. Mirror Works. Good card, 5. Now, I find that I use this card in decks where I have a little more expensive artifacts to cast and not as many cheap ones, because you really don't want to pay the 2 to get another, spell book or whatever. But it's nice to pay 2 to get a second copy of Darksteel Colossus or, whatever. The Mirror Ball. I love this card. I love the fact that it's just a bunch of balled up mirror, and then you read it and you find out it's just a bunch of balled up mirror. It's beautiful. We have the Orzhov Signet. Pilgrim's Eye, because apparently that's something you have to have in every single set now. Seriously, though. Hasn't this been in everything? Commander, Battle Bond, Core, Wouldn't Dominant. I mean, it seems like I've seen a ton of Pilgrim Eyes. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, and I just see a lot of cards. Prismatic Lens, of course, Mana Rock. Prototype Portal. We're gonna exile an artifact from your hand and start making copies of it. So this will make copies of non-creature artifacts. So you can make... What if you start using the prototype portal to make copies of the Mirror Works, and then all the enters the battlefield triggers of the Mirror Works, and you pay 2 for all of them, and you just keep... Whoa, math is hard. Okay. That's pretty cool. Psychosis Crawler. Probably one of my most used artifact creatures because, yeah, he can get big, but that's not why he's there. He's there for when you draw all your cards and they've already offed your Lab Man or whatever. I've used Lab Man a couple times. I think it's a crutch, and I'm glad that I'm actually out. I'm not really looking for any because it seems like, oh, and then I Lab Man. It's Laboratory Maniac. It's actually in the card, but I love Psychosis Crawler. This gives me a couple more copies, because you draw cards and everybody loses one. And it's always fun at parties. Scribing Claws. Yeah, they get to pick for that top ability. Just exile a card, any card, I don't care. Or you can sack it to exile target card. So I guess if you start early enough, you can kind of make sure they don't have any yard. We have Scuttling Doom Engine. Now, 6 mana, 6/6. A lot of times you just don't get that rate in Artifact Creature. And it can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, which is something. But when it dies, it deals 6 damage to target opponent or walker. This is not bad. I don't understand why I've never played this card. Seer's Lantern, of course, is just there for scrying abilities. Seer's Sundial. It's landfall. It seems like Seer's Sundial is something that I just don't use because it seems to me that there are better ways to draw cards in a landfall deck than having to spend 2 mana every time you drop a land. Now, granted, There have been times I probably would have been willing to do that, but I don't know. It seems like there's just better ways. And the flagship of our format, Soul Ring. Now, Soul Ring is a very contentious card. A lot of people say it is too powerful. It does need to be banned. And if one person opens up with a turn 1 Soul Ring, it does give them a huge advantage. And yeah, it totally does. It's a multiplayer. I mean, you're not going to have Pro Tour Commander, or, it's just not going to happen. And I think Soul Ring is part of the gentleman's agreement. I can think of 3 cards, maybe more, that are just busted as all get out that need to be banned, but they're not going to. This is right up there with the Workshop and probably Brainstorm. Too good, but we're going to keep it because it kind of is that format. And I like Soul Ring. All my decks don't have one. Some decks need them and don't have them because, let's face it, what am I up to? 317 decks by now, and this set's going to give me 16 more decks to build. So I'm going to try to get them done. This set review I'm going to target to drop on Saturday, see if I can or not, and then I'll try to start the next day with decks on Sunday. So try to keep with the deck a day thing. I don't know if I'll be able to withstand that. I was able to do it until I come down sick, but Soul of New Phyrexia is pretty good, especially for the Artifact Tons of Mana deck. You just, permanents you control. So this is including itself. This is, now, granted, given your Planeswalkers indestructible, doesn't matter a lot if they don't have loyalty. I mean, it's just, state-based effects. But, and like all the other souls, you can do it a one-shot from the graveyard. Steel Hellkite's always fun. It's a blast paying 0 to kill all tokens. I love it. Swiftfoot Boots has kind of replaced Lightning Greaves as everybody's go-to because Lightning Greaves' Shroud hexproof is clearly better. Thopter Assembly. If it's your lone Thopter, it breaks up into 5 pieces and it comes back. So it's pretty neat. And of course, you loop that. There's a card that a lot of people use in the Boreas Charger decks where you tap, sack 5 artifacts, take an extra turn. Hey, as long as you can cast a Thopter Assembly. Unstable Obelisk. 3 mana for a Mana Rock, or destroy target permanent. Now this, 7 mana is a lot, so you have a total investment of 10 mana if you're going to use the Vindicate option, but it's colorless. This is your red deck destroying an enchantment, as well as your black deck. This is your anything you need it to be. So it does at first not look that good. You pass right over it, but man, it's pretty sharp. Unwinding Clock. We got Unwinding Clock back again. This is the first time it's been reprinted since the original one. And it's really strong, especially if you can generate tons of mana and you do things. Oh, by the way, there's a card called Mishra's Helix. If you get the Mishra's Helix and the Unwinding Clock, be prepared to lose all your friends. Because Mishra's Helix, you tap down one person's lands. And obviously we're playing artifacts, so we ramped out with our Soul Rings and Thranduilamos and Guild Lotuses and crap like that. And then during the next turn's untap, upkeep, because at untap, all my stuff untapped. Upkeep, I'm going to tap all your lands down. And that one person's like, oh man, that sucks. But with the clock, you're going to do it to every single player. And that, woo, that's a way to lose friends and not get invited back next week. The Vessel of Endless Rest. When it enters the battlefield, put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. And you tap for a mana of any color. it is a mana rock that does kind of nerf them out of one reanimation target. So, I can't tell you why I'm not playing this card. I mean, I'm playing Manolith. So if I'm willing to pay 3 for Manolith that doesn't have that first ability, why wouldn't I play with this? It's very possible that because I've never cast this card. Worn Power Stone. Yeah, speaking of big mana ramp. And that is it for artifacts. We go into lands. Now, Worn Power Stone, as you can see down there, is card number 230. The following 77 cards are all lands. Yeah, there's 77 lands in this deck, or in this set, and that is... Oh, I love water. So, let's get to it. A lot of these are just straightforward duels. Now, I love... Y'all know I use a lot of the common and the uncommon duels. Yes, the rare ones are better, and they have a value. But as many decks as I am creating, love the bounce lands, by the way, because they get your like Bajuka Bogs back. As many decks as I'm creating, the difference in Azorius Guildgate and a Hollowed Fountain is not enough for me to go and buy 38 Hollowed Fountains that I would need. So maybe as time progresses, I don't know. We're going back to Ravnica, so maybe, I don't know. I keep hoping that they'll one day be like, screw it. We're going to make them the land slot in every pack like we did Guildgates. Yeah. Anyway, Blighted Woodland, land I actually want to talk about because it's really good, especially if you've got those regrow land effects or put lands, the Crucible effect, Ramanop guy. It's really good. But a lot of the dual lands, you know, the commons, the uncommons, there's our Bajuka Bog, the Buried Ruin to get back that artifact that you may have missed in your straight colorless deck. Of course, every deck has a command tower. We got the Darksteel Citadel, more bounces, and more guild gates. I was kind of really... I don't know about y'all, but as far as the guild gates go, anytime I do 5 colors, I will always use what I call all 11 guild gates because they are just, you know, it's Mazes Inn plus the 10 guild gates. It's a fetch, you know, whatever. The cycling lands, I have none of these left. All my cycling lands are in use because for single color, you've got 3 per color now. You've got the one from Urza block, the one from Amonkhet block, and then the one from, is it Tempest block that gave us cycling? Or is it, I don't know, it's one of those. But there's 3 for each color now, plus you got the colorless one. And in like mono red, yeah. Mono white, of course. More duels. I like that they give us, you know, a lot of, because some of these I'm just out of. Now, the Foundry here, this card won me a game at a pre-release a while back. You know, was it Kaladesh, I think, or Origin? I can't remember what set this came in, but it they didn't see it, and they were at 1, and I was able to crack it, block with 1, and use the other one to crack back at them. It was beautiful. Of course, the artifact lands to go with all the, you know, number of artifact things you control. They won't use the word affinity anymore because they got burnt, but anything that counts artifacts is, of course, the Grim Backwoods. Second creature to draw a card. The Gruul bounce land. Halimar Depths. I've always called this Ponderland because that's exactly what it is. It's a Ponderland. A Haunted Fingrath, you know, to get the creature at random. More blue-red duels. Of course, there's several of those. The Bounce Land, the Guild Gate. Now, I've started using panoramas, and I've called myself using them in the 3-color decks that matter. that are named. But now sometimes I'll actually use them in 2-color decks that don't have a lot of, dual land support, like enemy colors. Because let's face it, there aren't as many enemy color duels as there are friendly color. Because, Ice Age was the first one that started with the, well, I mean, obviously Alpha started with the full cycle of 10, but Ice Age did the 5 friendly pain lands, and they've kind of stayed with that, either the friendly cycle or the enemy cycle. Every now and then, like Ravnica, they'll do the whole 10 cycle. Now, let's see, more duels. Jungle Hollow, Wild Refuge. I love the refuges, or as Buddy Mont Butler says, the refugies. Hey, we get a plant. So, Now, Crows and Verge, what's from that, one of those weirdly skewed color sets, you get a forest and a plain. So, yes, in like Magical Christmas Land, you're going to go get your Tundra and your Bayou and call it a day. So, but I won't do that because, I don't have those cards. Lonely Sandbar, it's a cycling land. Another duel. The Mortuary Mire, I've actually put it in a deck or two. I don't think I've ever drawn it or anything, but creature card from your graveyard on top of your library, so that way it does kind of enable top deck shenanigans. Mosswort Bridge is probably the easiest to trigger hideaway land. The blue one is damn near unplayable in our format. But 10 power, yeah. Most time we got that. Mountain Valley. I don't, what is this, Mirage? I didn't know we needed this reprint. It's just because this is a land that comes into play tapped. So you play it, it occupies your land drop for that turn. You come back the next turn, untap it, tap it, sack it. You get a mountain or a forest and put it on the battlefield. Well, you know what? It's not as bad as I remember. Because now, with like Terramorphic or Evolving, you're still waiting the same amount of turns. It's just here, this comes into play tapped, but the land doesn't. And it says mountain or forest, so you can go get, fancy duels. As where Evolving Wilds is untapped, but it goes and get a tapped basic. So this, I may have to dig out my Mirage binder and check those out, because those are not as bad as I remembered. I remember having a sour taste from them back then, and that's why I've kind of avoided them all these years. Mirrored Landscape. Colorless, beautiful, magical land. This is one that every one I own is in a deck, because it's just 2 basic lands that share a type. So this is going to go in all the monocolor, probably not green, because green's got other options, but in your white ramp and your, because I mean it's really good. Sun type brings it back. I'm just saying. New Benalia. Hey, it's Scry 1. We got the Orzhov Baliska, the Orzhov Guildgate, Carnarium, Rocky Tar Pit. Did they bring back the whole cycle from Mirage? I don't know. Love the Tri-Lands, always have. It feels like you get a color for free there. Scoured Barrens, Seaside Citadel. Of course, the most expensive of the artifact lands, the Seat of the Synod. Secluded Glen is the White Cycle. Sajiri Refuge. Celestina Bounce. Simic Bounce. Submerged Boneyard. There's a lot of good cards for just to build with Saltwater Cliffs. Now, Terramorphic, or Temple of the False God here, there are, a lot of people say run it, a lot of people say don't run it. I don't know. I'm kind of in both camps. It just depends on the deck. I don't really know that I believe in things called auto includes, because it just depends on what you want the deck to do and where you're going with it. Like, yeah, Temple of False God, This is an amazing card in colorless deck. Urza's your general, Kozilek, whatever. Yeah, this is not bad. Do you want this in Atraxa? Probably not. I'm just saying. And, you know, big mana, if you need a lot of... That's just me. Terramorphic Expanse, of course, back for another round. Thornwood Falls, good. And sometimes they tack on Gain a Life on some of these, you know, which is fine. Tranquil Cove. There's a lot of Tranquil stuff. There's Tranquil Cove, Tranquil Expanse, and Tranquil Thicket. They evidently love that word. We're getting... That's as tall as my mouth, or as my stand can get. Let's see if I can get up any higher. We have Warped Landscape. I'm about to get to the top of this thing. I may have to switch back to the other box. We're getting pretty close, though. Warped Landscape, of course, you know, you sacrifice it, search your library for basic lands. If you just, I don't know, the 2 mana and tap. If the basic land didn't come into play tap, I mean, you're already paying for it. I don't know. Maybe I just want too much. Woodland Stream. Then we're going to get into our basic lands. And yes, I am going to cover our basic lands because they are cards in the set. Now, as I recall, I think this is the only one by John Avon. He is, of course, as y'all know, my favorite artist. I'm not trying to slide any other artist or anything. It takes incredible talent to do what these people do. And I'm positive, there's no way they can get paid what they're worth, because what they bring to the world is so magical and so wonderful that it's almost priceless. But that being said, I have no talent to do anything like this whatsoever. But John Avon is, as y'all know, it's one of my favorites. I don't know. I say one of my favorites. I have about 10, 15. I love Mark Poole. Of course, it's probably because Mark Poole did jump. But there's 3 of each basic lands in the set. And from what I remember, there are less swamps than anything else. So, and the last forest. Now, that is all the cards in the set, but we also have tokens. Now, some of these tokens we've already have, and some of them we don't. So what I got to do, though, is I got to take some of these cards out because they won't fit. So let's look at these tokens. Token number 1. It's your Manifest token. I already explained how I feel about Manifest, so we're going to skip right on by it. I don't even know what it says. The 1/1 Changeling. This is for your Crypt Swap. That's right. Let's see if I can remember what cards create all of these. 2 hours and 32 minutes in. I was trying to keep this under 3 hours. It being my first one, I didn't know if I could or not. We have Angel, of course. A couple things put this in. The Sigil of the Empty Throne. And our Planeswalker Commander. I really like this. Enchant permanent, totem armor, it's all it needed, token enchantment. I like it. It's plain. It's simple. I do love the fact that what Totem Armor does is in reminder text, because a lot of people were kind of scared that it wouldn't be, and that they just expected newer players to know what Totem Armor is. Glad it's on there. Cat token. Now, sadly, these tokens are not available in foil. None of the cards, besides the commanders, are available in foil. This is why we have master sets. Now, this is the 2/1 mirror. And I think this is like half mirror, half predator. I don't know. There's nothing about this. I mean, I walk up on this, I'm turning around and walking away. And probably looking at it while I walk away because it scares the life out of me. This looks scarier than a 2/1. I'm saying it does. Of course, the same Alara Art Blue Thopter token that we've had for years. We have good old-fashioned Zombie. Now, the dragon egg that hatches, it becomes the dragon. And, of course, this is the one I know you've been waiting on. Survivor. Survivor. Do I hear Eye the Tiger? Yeah, that's an awesome looking token too. Just standing there with the fire and the yeah. It's got our 4/4 beast that the landfall guy puts in. Oh. We got the 5/5 beast. I don't remember what puts the 5/5 trampling beast in. It's one of those cards I'm unfamiliar with, I guess. Of course, there's Windgrace's Cat Warrior Forest Walking token. Weird. Of course, the Elemental. The Plant token from Avenger of Zendikar. Our Worm Harvest token. A clue. Can I get a clue, please? The 4/4 construct and the 6/12 construct that the 12/12 leaves behind when he dies. Of course, we have the Horror, the regular old-fashioned 1/1 mirror, the Servo, and still, for some reason, they give us two different arts on the Thopter. I don't know why. And every deck has this card in it that has that on one side and the popular Magic the Gathering formats on the other side. Well, that is it for my set review for Commander 18. I'm going to stop now and rest my voice because I think I might actually be able to go and make F&M with the homies. So, I do appreciate you watching. Y'all let me know what you think. But right now, I think I'm literally going to shuffle and cut.